What's up, you guys? Y'all ready to dive into chapter 11? My Hawkins High School class of 1986 shirt. I got this when we were in Paris. For those of you who watch Stranger Things, any Stranger Things fans out there, this was the high school that they went to. So I was not class of 1986. However, in spirit, I was there. All right, so we have all of our goodies here. We've got Emily. Hopefully he won't see Tanya again, but I feel like he might. But we got Brady, we got Emily, we got Stan, and we got Tanya. We got Tanya. It was quite a cold day in mid-December. The trees and ground were blankets and snow. Snow had been falling outside. The temperatures were in the low 30s during the middle part of the day, and the temperatures were expected to drop further by nightfall. The snow was coming down in such a gentle fashion, so peaceful, a steady breeze would blow through, causing the snow to blow in all directions. At times, when the wind would blow through, a bit of snow would fall from nearby tree branches. A woman stood at the lake peering out across the still water, covered in patches of ice, and watched as the snow fell so gently from the sky. She was well dressed for standing around in the cold and watching it snow. She was wearing black pants and brown hiking boots. The jacket she was wearing was purple, and the Taliban hat she wore on her head matched the color of her coat and the gloves she wore while holding a cup of coffee and sipping on it while watching the snow fall all around her. Her hair was long, curly, and brown. Her eyes were hazel, and she looked like she was in her late 20s to early 30s. While standing there, taking in a cold feel of nature surrounding her and drinking her coffee, her mind was lost in thoughts, remembering such a wonderful time she had here at the lake house with Stan. Okay, so wait, so she's one of Stan's victims? Okay, so I guess maybe she was smart enough to leave Stan. Let's see. It wasn't long before he approached her, all geared up in warm clothing, much like she was. Okay, all right, she's still, okay, whoever she is, she has not realized that Stan is a psycho killer, and she is in bliss. So let's let her be happy and enjoy her bliss. He wore blue jeans, hiking boots, and a black jacket, but no gloves or Taliban hat, because he's a psycho killer. He doesn't need all that. He walks over and stands next to her, peering out across the thin ice-covered lake stretched across the valley they were in. Between the mountains surrounding them, God, it is so peaceful out here. I could stay here forever, she said, looking over at Stan with a smile. He smiled back at her. You are right, Cheryl. Wasn't one of the women he had there, Cheryl? Put a pin in that, because I feel like one of the women that he had brought there in real life was named Cheryl. Drop a pin. Okay. You're right, Cheryl. It is indeed so peaceful here. It makes one question whether to return to the city, he responded. Cheryl stood there momentarily, running the thought of what he said through her mind until it sank into her heart. Why don't we sell what we got, give up the city life, and move here together? Live out the rest of our lives here, she asked. The thought did not occur to Stan throughout their time at the lake house together, but somehow, deep inside his heart and mind, he was still battling with the loss of Tanya. Are y'all thinking what I'm thinking? He is using these women's real names. Because I thought Cheryl sounded familiar. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm sitting at 100%. But Tanya for dang sure. Okay? So this is probably, okay, so I assume Tanya was the first book. And I assume Cheryl was either the second or third book. Whew, okay. She was still heavy on his heart. And despite what had happened, he could not seem to get her out of his mind. Was it all an accident? Was it truthfully an act of lustful thoughts? Was it obsession? Was it a momentary loss of the mind? So much ran through Stan's mind. It was like quicksand sinking away at his heart. Cheryl could see that Stan was in deep thought about her proposal to live at the lake house and leave the city life behind them. She was hoping it was enough to persuade him to do so. "I'll think about it some more," he responded before he turned around to leave her alone with her thoughts. He turned around, He stopped and looked down at his hands trembling. He was fighting himself again, and he knew he needed to stop before it happened. Before what happened? Why are your hands trembling? Stop before it happened. What's going on? Emily closes the book. Ooh, she's gonna read. Okay, she's gonna read these books and she's going to make the same connections we're making. Okay, let's see. Emily closes the book. She places it back onto the shelf where she had taken it down, but while placing it back on the shelf, Brady walks into his office and sees her putting the book away. "Fair warning, I recommend you not read anything from book 2 or 3 without reading book 1 first, Tanya." Okay, so that means the one that she is reading is from 2 or 3 because it's Cheryl. Okay, "It will confuse the hell out of you. Trust me," he suggested. Emily grabs the first book off the shelf. "Yeah, I was just reading a random page from book 2. Okay, so book 2. So first it was Tanya, then it was Cheryl. Okay. It's fascinating. It seems Stan isn't over Tanya. What happened to her?" Emily asked. "Really? Like I will tell you. You better take your beautiful green eyes and use them to read that first book. I will not ruin the story for you," he said. With a grin, Emily walks over and kisses Brady. "I plan on reading it shortly, outside by the lake. I found a nice spot to do some reading," she said. She was eager to head outside and start reading his first ever #1 bestseller. When she leaves the office, Brady decides to sit at his desk and work some more on his novel. When he brings it up to start typing, he sees the last thing written. It is basically what happened. He was beyond confused and startled by this at the same time. It was as though someone else was writing his book instead of him. Could it be that he was writing but not remembering? But how could it be possible to write something that had happened seconds ago? Maybe that's why all of his other books suck, because mind you, again, he's written for over a decade. I think it's been about 12 years, and he's written about 15 books, and none of his other books have been great. So I wonder if when he's on the lake house, if he's like possessed by something that makes him write better. Cause yeah. Okay. Let's see. It was much like what he had seen a few nights ago when Emily was a bit drunk and wanted to have in the very room he was in. And he had seen what they had done had been written down as though he had written it before it happened. Stan walks into the office and leans against the open doorway while staring into the room at Brady, who sits at his computer reading over what had happened. He was reading where Emily had been reading a scene. He was reading where Emily had been reading a scene from book 2, where Cheryl proposed to live at the lake house with Stan. How the hell is this possible? Brady asked, looking up from his computer and putting his confused eyes on Stan, as though Stan may have the answer. Your heart just isn't into this final chapter, Stan answered. Brady, more confused than ever, stares at Stan for a brief moment. The fuck are you talking about? He asked. Stan lets out a sigh before he walks further into the room and stands next to Brady in his chair at the computer. You already wrote this down. Why are you confused? Stan responded. No, I did not write this down. I came here to turn on my computer and bring up my book. This was the last thing written down. Maybe it was the last thing you wrote before you finished yesterday. Impossible. I could not, wait. I missed my page. Impossible. I could not have written down something yesterday that happened moments ago, word for word, Brady explained, trying to understand what was happening with his book. Twice, he had seen something written based on something that had recently happened minutes ago. Well, if you didn't write it, perhaps the witch you brought with you did. In frustration, Brady jumps from his chair and walks away from Stan to the other side of his office. You still blame that girl for all these weird things. First you said she's keeping secrets. Then you say she's a witch. And now you're telling me she's writing my book? Hey, how can you ask me? I'm telling you what I see. Hey, you can ask me. I'm telling you what I see. Don't ask me if you don't like what I have to say. Stan said with a hiss, a bit of a temper fled from him before exiting the room, leaving Brady alone, scratching his head, trying to figure out what was happening. Stan, wait, Brady called out, walking out of the room and looking around to see if he was anywhere to be seen, but he did not see Stan anywhere. He was about to let it go and finish working on his book, but he was distracted by the sound of someone walking around upstairs. It sounded as though this person was barefoot, and his first thought was that Emily might have returned to the house to get something. But when he walked over to the windows in the living room, I feel like it's gonna be Tanya. Let's see. He could see her a little ways from the house. She was sitting on the ground near the lake reading the book she had taken from his shelf. So he knew it wasn't her. So instantly he thought Stan went upstairs. That is, until he heard a female giggling. It was brief, coming from his bedroom upstairs. He was not sure what to think because Emily was outside and there wasn't supposed to be anyone else there. Brady walks into the dining room and ascends the stairs to the house's second floor. He hears giggling one more time before walking into his bedroom to find Cindy. Who is Cindy? Okay, hang on. Cindy, I feel like was Cindy his assistant? Completely naked on her stomach, lying on his bed with her legs upward and crossed together. Ooh. Then her pretty face. He looks at her with a shocked expression, knowing that if Emily were to see her naked on his bed like that, she would think something is going on between him and Cindy, one of the caretakers of his house. Cindy, what the hell are you doing here? He asked. She just grinned, brushing her blonde hair from her green eyes. Her hair was a bit short, and it looked good and matched her facial features very well. Something Brady had always noticed about her. even when he hired her to take care of the place when he was not around. Why do you think I'm here? She responded, remaining on her stomach and moving her legs up and down. Brady could see the slight when she moved her legs up and down. The way she was laying on his bed as if she were a model, her body a bit skinny but not bony. She had a healthy, skinny body type with a nice figure. I feel like something's happened before because it's probably his imagination. Let's just start there. But I feel like he might have done something with her previously. It's definitely his imagination. But I feel that they've done stuff previously. Because mind you, before he met Emily, he was a single man. So, Cindy, I'm not sure what you are doing. You look nice and all, but you have to get out of here. If Emily catches us in here, I could lose out on someone special. What the fuck, Brady? Cindy said, leaning up from laying on her stomach. She was now up on her knees, still on the bed, exposing her, and down below, she had a landing strip trimmed very nicely. Brady could feel himself. Okay, the sight of Cindy was working him up, but he knew this was something that could not happen. He knew it was still too soon, but he knew in his heart he was falling in love with Emily. Cindy, you have to leave now, Brady insisted. What the fuck is going on with you? Don't you remember anything? Cindy asked, looking confused. Before Brady could respond, someone else responded. He doesn't seem to remember anything anymore. Tanya said, well, I knew it. Emily's always going off somewhere. Y'all notice that she's always going off and leaving him to his crazy thoughts. So I don't think I have another blonde to be Cindy, but we'll just use our imaginations. Okay, let's see. Excuse me. He doesn't seem to remember anything anymore, Tanya said, walking into view and brushing up against Brady while she walked by with this grin all over her face. Seeing Tanya about made Brady jump out of his skin. He could not believe what he was seeing. He rubbed his eyes several times, closed them, and looked again to see Tanya sitting on his bed wearing a black leather top, see-through black panties, and black fishnets. This is one man that is always on the go. He is always ready. Like he is thinking about women all the time. Her long, straight blonde hair fell down her back. Her blue eyes always reminded him of the ocean when he saw them. And that sexy, athletic body she had, it was always easy to say, ooh, how did you get here? Brady asked while having a time getting such a short question out of his mouth. With a surprised look, Tanya looks over at Cindy, shaking her head disappointedly. You're right. He has become very forgetful, Tanya said. Should I tell him or should you? Cindy asked, looking at Tanya and waiting for her response. Her eyes were fixed on Brady, checking him up and down his body. He was wearing blue jeans and a blue shirt with white sneakers. But to see how Tanya was checking him out, you'd think he was standing there naked. No, let me tell him, another voice said, coming from behind Brady. And when he was startled by the voice, he turned around and saw that it was Cheryl. Cheryl? Okay, wait, I'm confused. Isn't Cindy still alive? Right? Cindy's still alive. So, yeah, because she had to have been alive. She went to go get groceries to... Okay. So I would get somebody for Cheryl, but we don't know what Cheryl looks like. So let's see. Cheryl walking by him, grinning before she joined Tanya and Cindy on the bed. She was wearing short cut-off jean shorts and a red shirt with brown cowgirl boots, beautiful long curly brown hair, and a brown cowgirl hat she was wearing matched well with everything she had on. And those hazel eyes, that hourglass body shape she had, is enough to drive a man wild, Brady kept thinking. She has put a, has she put a spell on you or something? You look at us as though you don't remember anything, Cheryl asked. Brady's face was covered in sweat. His nerves were coming undone, and the rate of his heart felt as though he could go into cardiac arrest at any minute. Give him some. He needs to go to a doctor ASAP. Look at how he is sweating, Tanya pointed out. You are supposed to come here with that you are supposed to come here with that you can't be touched persona. Yet here you stand, broken and with no memory as it would seem, said Cindy. Brady was so confused. He felt he should know what they were discussing. He remembered them, but at the same time, he didn't remember where they were or where they should be, because this was his imagination running wild on him, and he knew it. You better get a hold of yourself and remember why you are here and why you brought Emily, Stan said, entering the room and joining the ladies sitting on the bed among them. As usual, he was, I lost my page. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. As usual, he was dressed nice and casual, as always. Yeah, I know why I'm here. I came here to write a book, Brady answered. Cindy, Cheryl, Tanya, and Stan all laughed at the same time after Brady spoke. It was funny to them. To Brady, he was unsure why they were laughing. What is so funny? He asked. They all stopped laughing so Stan could respond to his question. You came here to write a book, sure, but it isn't you that's writing the damn thing. Didn't I say that? Didn't I say it? Didn't I say it? I said it. I called it. I knew it. Brady stood there more confused than ever. None of this made any sense to him, and he was fighting with his memory all three of these women he had dated. Wait, so he did? Wait. So it's Cheryl, Tanya, and Cindy. So Cindy, his caretaker, he also dated? I'm confusion. I am confusion. Okay, I gotta start writing these names down. Okay, we're writing these names down. So of course we already know Tanya, she's the number one. And then we know Cheryl, she's the number two. And then I'm just going to write Cindy, because I feel like he said, that she was a caretaker that went grocery shopping for him, that actually met Emily and was being a bitch to her. But again, so I wrote it down. Okay, let's see. Okay, he was fighting with his memory all three of these women he had dated, but he could not remember why they ever broke up for the life of him. All that you have worked hard for is about to fade if you don't wake up and get your act together, Tanya warned. She's right, Brady. These women know what's best. They made sacrifices so you could be here now to do what you need to do, Stan said. They made sacrifices, okay? Yeah, I know what I need to do, and that is why I'm writing my next book, Brady replied. They all burst into laughter again, leaving Brady to stand lost like a stranded child in the woods. He has no clue why they are laughing and what they are trying to get through to him. Shortly after, Brady could hear Emily's voice repeatedly surrounding him, but he could not see her. "Wake up, Brady." Finally, Brady wakes up and sees Emily standing over him. He had fallen asleep at his computer while working on his novel and had no idea he had been asleep. "How long have I been out?" he asked, yawning and staring around the room. Emily turned on the light upon entering the room. "I have no clue, but it is almost sundown. I'm going to prepare dinner," Emily replied. Brady sat there for a moment, his thoughts surrounding that bizarre dream he had. It was beyond weird. He kept thinking, trying to make sense of it, but couldn't, no matter how hard he thought about it. He sat there for a moment, regaining his senses. He looked at his computer to see what he had written so far before falling asleep. He was completely mystified by what he saw. He felt as though he was still trapped in a dream and there was no explanation of what he was staring at. Everything he dreamt up, to the conversation Emily had with him seconds ago, was all written down as though he were living inside the novel he was currently working on, with no memory of ever writing these things down. I feel like this is a pivotal chapter because this is when you really start to realize that, hey, there's something happening here. There's something happening here, okay? So it's the part where he said that all these women have made sacrifices so that you can continue doing what you do, meaning you write this book. Maybe some kind of spell or voodoo or, I don't know, some kind of magic spell happened to where he made some kind of deal. Oh, from earlier when she was like, "Don't you remember our arrangement, our agreement?" So maybe he made an agreement with some spirit. Maybe Tanya was possessed, I don't know. But I think he made an agreement with some spirit that said, "Hey, your books have been trash the past 12 years, okay? Or however many years. They've been trash. I can give you the success you've been wanting if you kill these people or do X, Y, Z." And that's why I think she said, "You're not in love with her, are you?" Because she knew that the agreement was for him to kill her. Hence, the sacrifices that they have had to make so that he can continue to be great. I don't know. Something's going on. And I feel like that's what's going on because he's saying that he does not remember writing anything. The book is being written. And even Brady said it's not being written by you. And he's waking up from these dreams and these fantasies and this and that. And it's being written word for word. So I really feel like he is living it. I feel like somebody else is writing the story of his life and he's living it and he's thinking that he's writing it, but someone else is writing the story of his life. Ooh, okay, so let's go ahead and dive into chapter 12 because I gotta see what's going on. I got my detective hat on and I'm ready to see what's going on. Let's do it. All right. Comment what y'all think. I need all the conspiracists to the front, okay? Conspiracists and paranoid people that like to guess what's going on, to the front. Now is your time to shine, okay? Let's do this. So I'll see y'all in chapter 12. Peace.